Hello again. So today we're going to look at something interesting, and I'm just going to do some kind of data visualization. Not actually the visualization of using different graphs, but just to to use up some simple terminology or codes to kind of understand our data set and see how it looks like. So for example, today I'm going to do a demo using Titanic dataset, and the main goal of this is to to teach you how to read your data set on Python. And just for your information, I'm using the Visual Studio Code, which is a very nice software for hosting different programming languages. And right now I'm using Python, hosted on Visual Studio. And so let's dig into this visual or into this kind of a data analysis for beginners. So let's say, for example, I have my data set, and um, so remember that I would like to show you one thing before we start. Let's say we have a new terminal down here. I want to show you that where this project is located under this path, which is in my local drive. So this one is the actual path where this project is located. Again, another thing you should know that my dataset is also located in this path. So if I want to know where my location is of this project, I'll just print my working directory, which is pwd. If I print that, it will give me a path, which is the same as the original path. So that means I'm working on the correct directory. So that was just an introduction. And in case you don't like seeing this, you can just say clear, and you can clear everything from this section. But for now, we're going to concentrate on data analysis on the top here. So I'm going to close this. So for today, I'm going to use pandas to read. So I'm going to load I'm going to load pandas libraries for the purpose of reading dataset, and I'm going to call it import pandas as pd. I'm going to run that, and the next thing we're going to look at is let's say, for example, we want to read this dataset, and I'm going to call this one. Let's read the Titanic dataset, and so to read this one, we're going to use what we call the pd.readcsv. Let's call this dataset as pd is equals to pd.readcsv. When I print that, you can see it's now running, and now I can print the whole dataset. Let me see, print the dataset. Okay, so print p. Wait a minute. So df. Let me call this one print df. And once I print, you can see this is our dataset, but it doesn't look that neat. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to print the first 5 passengers, and then I'm going to print the last. I'm going to print the first 5 and the last 5. So let's see. So you can say print the last. Okay, the first and the last 5 rows of the dataset. And to do that, I'm going to do this dot head. That is for the first 5. And then I'm going to do df.tail, which is the last 5. If I print that. So this one is showing only the last 5, because this is the last code we printed here. But let's see if we can print both at the same time. Let's see. So print, and then let's print again this one, like that. Still this one is not showing it correctly, so I'm going to remove this part, and I'm just going to print that. I'm going to remove this print, and then we're going to be left by dataframe.head, which is the first 5. As you can see, remember this one is just the index. This one is not part of the dataset, but this one is the passenger ID. So let's print the last 5 rows, and like that. I'm going to paste the same thing, and then when I print this, we're going to see the last 5 passengers, and that was our main purpose. So we can see that the total passengers you can see is 891. And also another thing we can see is that we have some missing values on, for example, the cabin. That's the only thing I can see for now, and also the age, we still have some missing values. The next thing we're going to do is, let's say, for example, we want to know the shape of this dataset, how many rows, how many columns. So in that, we're going to say the number of rows and columns in this dataset. So to do that, we're going to do a df.shape, like that. And this one tells us we have 891 passengers, and they were categorized using 12 attributes. So these 12 attributes is just the number of columns, which is from passenger ID all the way to impact, in which if you count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now let's say, for example, you'd like to see, so what's the total number of entries in this dataset? Instead of counting it manually from like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way for each passenger, we can do that by saying the total number of entries, the total number of elements or entries in this dataset, and that one we can do it by saying we can use the size, so df.size, like that. And if you print that, you're going to get 10692. And just for your information, the 10692 is row times column, okay, which is 891 times 12, which will give you 891, like that. If I read that, if you print that, this one is not correct. 10692, yep. So that's how you do that. And the next thing we're going to see, so for all values we can get, for example, these are, if you look at some of the elements, like the passenger IDs of IP class, siblings, age, they have numeric entries. So we can find the standard deviation, the mean, the count, and all the statistical values of these columns. So to do that, we're going to use what we call the describe. Let's get the find the statistical summary of the dataset, and to do that, you're going to use df.describe, like that. If you print that, wait, I forgot to bracket here. Like that, you're going to get the count, the mean, standard deviation, mean, the 3 percentile, and the max. And then this one is just a quick view of the dataset. For example, all the entries with numbers, it will be shown here. So you can see 891, survived 891, 891. But when it comes to age, we are missing some counts. So that means we have some missing values, 891, 891, all the way to that. But we're going to look at different ways of how to fill in these gaps, or different ways of replacing the missing values. Let's say, for example, because in this data set you're curious about those who survived, so we can look at the count, or the value count of those who survived, and we can use let's see. So we can say the number of those who survived, right? So we want to know the number of those who survived and those who did not survive, and to do that we're going to use df into bracket, open the quotes, let me see, like that, survived. Then you can count that, and if you print that, you can see that those who did not survive were 549 and those who survived were 342. Okay, so those are good statistics to know about. And let's say, for example, we'd like to know the total number of what is not a number, for example, the missing value, especially on the age. So we can do that, the missing values in the dataset, and then for that case you're going to use df.now is now, and then you're going to get the sum of those numbers, and you can see that in the first 5 we have everything is full, and then on the age you're missing 177 entries. Cabin we're missing a lot, which is 687, and then back we're missing 2. So that's how to check the missing values. There's one thing I'd like to show you before we finish up with this just introduction to data analysis on the dynamic dataset, and I'm going to show you one trick in case you're running into problems of an error saying a module not found in this when you're running. For example, in this case we only use pandas to read the data. Let's say, for example, you're trying to read to import this library, and the system is saying the module is not found in this environment. So let's say, for example, I'm going to do an example. For example, I want to uninstall the pandas. Okay, so to uninstall the pandas, I'm going to use this pip uninstall pandas, like that. And if I run that, you're going to ask me a question if I want to install pandas. I think I have this one wrong, so I think I'm going to get an error because this one is not uninstall. Let me try to remove these PowerShells. Let's open again this one. So we can say pip and install pandas, like that. So they're saying we just found the pandas 2.0.2, and should they proceed uninstalling this library? I'll say yes. So this is saying successfully uninstalled pandas. So to make sure that all the changes is reflecting on my working space, I want to restart my kernel. As you can see, my kernel here is restarting to update the new changes I made. That one is complete. If I try to run pandas, let's see if we are going to get an error. So it's saying no module named pandas. To correct that, we are going to come back here. This one will be the same thing on all libraries. If you are missing some libraries on Visual Studio and you are using different programming language, so for this case, this one is for Python. Pip install pandas, like that. Then if you click enter, you're going to see that the pandas is being installed. Let's give it a minute. And that one is done. So let's see. So if you restart again the kernel, so the kernel is complete. Let's try and run this pandas, and as you can see, the pandas is already in our library. So that's how you can install or uninstall different libraries in Python. Other than that, I think that's all for today. So next time we're going to look at something different, and